So module 22, corpus text processing. In this module, we'll try to process corpus which has been developed and many other corpus are available to us in different ways, different manners to retrieve necessary data and to understand how those properties that are used in the corpus actually behave. So there are various ways to process a corpus, starting from statistical calculations to concordance, to lemmatizations, to grammar mapping, to morphological processing, and many other things. So many things can be done with corpus. We are also here going to emphasize only some of them which we think are relevant for our present studies. So in this module, we are trying to emphasize on 4 or 5 major techniques or methods of corpus analysis that are normally used on corpora and information are gathered from them. So these processes are described in a very brief manner with some examples collected from the TBR corpus as well as from English, so that we can understand here how different processes are applied on text corpus and how information become useful in various domains of linguistics research and analysis. So the first one here we are going to emphasize is concordance. So let us first understand what is concordance. So if you look at the literature, concordance is a kind of grammatical equivalent in syntax. But here in corpus linguistics, it's a technical term which actually refers to the process of indexing words used in corpus. I've given a figure here, figure, table or picture given here. It actually shows how words are used in sentences. So concordance itself can stand as a separate text to understand the environment, the contexts in which words are being used. In actuality, therefore, we can say that a systematic display of the collection of occurrences of words, each in its own contextual environments. As you know that each word is indexed with reference to the place of its occurrence in the corpus. The technique has considerable importance in understanding the usage variations and sense variations of words when they are used in the present text. So concordance is one of the processes which are normally used on corpus analysis. If you look at the table, you can find out that here are some examples I can give you. The verb eaten taken from the British National Corpus to show here how this word is used in different sentence frames, in different sentence contexts, and everywhere, in each context, it has a unique kind of display of its associations with other members in the sentences. So what happens? What we find that here the word verb eaten always, mostly in most cases, preceded by the word food, and there is no inconsistency in use of the word succeeding. So concordance actually gives a better scope to understand how words particularly are distributed in text and what kind of environments it occurs. So what kind of sense variations denote based on occurrences in earlier ages, in the early ages of corpus development, although the technique was very useful but not good enough to identify the context. But maybe in the 18th century, if we go back, we can find out that Bible, the entire text of Bible, has put to concordance to find out what are the basic words are used in which environment they are using, in a sentential context are and to identify what are the senses they are exhibiting. So, the flexibility of the technique and the determination of contextual frame of words vary depending upon the criteria, various criteria we use to determine what kind of words can be considered. So, in the concordance list, we can emphasize on single words to identify, or a full double word unit as a compound, or a multi-word string to say. Also, we can identify how many words would come on the left-hand side of the target word or the right-hand side of the target. You can make it a kind of text that only say 5 words before the word would come, and 5 words immediately after the target word should come. Or the best strategy is that take the full sentence. Take the full sentence right there. Suppose a particular word, say the word man has occurred in a corpus 1,000 times, but it is distributed all across the huge corpus. You do not know what I use. So we run a concordance program in such a way that all the sentences where that particular word has occurred would be separated from the main corpus and put in a separate database. And each sentence, the word is being highlighted or presented in a red color with a focus on its immediate sentential environment. So what we get here is a new database where our main word of investigation is put in the middle or the center, and other members associated with this word are put on both sides in a sentential form. So what we get are say 1,000 sentences where the word has occurred. Then we can do two things. One thing is we can do a kind of syntagmatic analysis to find out what kind of sentential frames are normally used for the occurrence of the words, or what kind of environment, sentential environment, at the linear order, how the word is used. Reversely, you can also do the paradigmatic analysis to find out from the first sentence to the last sentence what kind of frame it generates and what kind of inclinations, what kind of associations it develops with other words. So in cases of data-driven learning, particularly where the teaching of language is based on the data, this becomes highly useful because it gives the learners two important opportunities. How it is used at the sentential level, first thing. What kind of morphologic changes it goes when it is using inflections or other properties attached to it. Second important part is that what kind of sense variations it can denote based on different environments. So concordance is one important ways of corpus processing. We have given examples in the study materials where we can get some idea how concordance is formed and generated from corpus. It is always necessary to have concordance of most frequently used words in the language in a separate analysis to understand the functions in the language. Then, next is used collocation. Collocation is defined the occurrence of two or more words within a short space of each other in a text. So, collocation is, as the word or term refers to, it's co-location, that is collocation. So, we often find that some words all the time come together, whatever the sentence or frame it will be. If the W word comes, then two may come also together. Suppose in cases of in our secondary schools level, when we are taught about appropriate groups or appropriate prepositions or group verbs, these are very good examples of collocations. Where you can say, for example, think of give up. So, or give in. So, wherever we find that there is a give, there is up, also time all the time is taken together. When in this particular sense, or give in, we get kind of different kinds of combinations of the words, and the moment they combine together, they collocate together, we get a different layer of senses. So, collocation is a very important part of understanding which two words actually combine together. So, collocation is a technique through which we are able to identify which two words actually combine together in most of the time while they occur together in a sentence in Corpus. So first part is identification of those words which often go together. Second is how they combine, what are the association patterns they develop, and what are the significance of their combinations or combinatorial associations or occurrences with texts. So collocation gives us two opportunities to identify those words which combine together, associate together, used together in a sentence. And second important thing, how they different give the meanings when they combine together. For the Bangla corpus, we have noted that, for example, here we give an example, the word kacha, the unique feature of combining with other nouns, and the moment they combine with them, they get new senses, new meanings. Here's an example. Whenever I say it is a kacha fall, that means unripe fruit. If you look at that, whenever I say it's a kacha call, that means it's a mud house. If you look at that, the particular word kacha, when it actually collocates with fall, it gives a unripe fruit, raw fruit, green fruit. But when it is with a collocation call, it gives mud house. So if we find out that the basic word kacha changes its meaning when it's collocates in new set of words. So thus, we find there are several functional importance or relevance of collocations. First, it enables us to extract multi-word words from corpus, which may be used for dictionary making, or technical translation, or in language teaching to find out which two words, multi-word units, which two names actually collocates. We also need to know why they collocate. Is it by chance or is it by choice? If it is by chance, then we can ignore for the time being. Okay, the author has deliberately or by chance has used those two words together in the text. But if it is by choice, then you might understand why there is a tendency of the users to combine those or to keep those things together all the time. So it also helps to understand, to group similar collocates of words together, to identify the range of sensibilizations, to explore if the W1 generates a novel sense due to its collocation with other words, that is W2. So in return, this inspires us towards the phenomenon of semantic gradients of words, conceptualizing how words are able to fabricate new senses through new lexical associations. So whenever we find that kacha collocates with fall to give one sense, and kacha collocates with ghar to give another sense, or collocates with bias or age to give another sense, or phasa with another sense. So the question comes, why these new kinds of collocations are generating new senses, and what are the factors behind that? So collocation also gives us good scope to identify, to explore the new patterns of lexical associations and the behind sense. This also supports to identify the differences of use of synonyms. Synonyms words. It's a very important step. When we have noted that two words are already said that they are claimed to be synonyms words. But while one particular synonym use collocates with other set of words, the other synonym has combinations with other words. I can give you some examples. Say in English, say for strong and powerful considered two synonyms. But from the study of the data, it is noted that strong normally collocates with motherly, sowings, believer, currents, supporter, and other. Say strong motherly feelings, strong sowings, strong believers, strong currents, strong supporter, or strong other. Powerful generally collocates with neighbor, tool, minority, symbol, figure, weapon, post, etc. So we say powerful neighbor, powerful tool, powerful minority group, powerful symbol, powerful figure, powerful weapon, powerful post, or something like that. So what we find here is that While both are synonymous, strong and powerful, they are actually not synonymous in the true sense of the term, because while they collocates with other members, their nature of collocations are different set of words, and they behave in different ways. Same thing has been studied in British National Corpus and Lancaster and Lund Corpus, where two synonymous forms, small and little, are taken together to understand. The similar thing also was done in cases of Bangla. We have taken Din and Divas as two synonymous forms, but startingly, when we were studying the corpus, we found out that Din and Te, although are synonymous, are varying notably for the patterns of collocations. While Din mostly occurs with colloquial words like, say, Janmodin, Kajeddin, or Chutuddin, or Borsardin, like that. Divas usually occurs having a very flavor of highly formalities, say, Shramik Divas, or Shisu Divas, or say, Sadhinata Divas, or say, Shohid Divas, or Matri Divas. So what we find here that both, although Din and Divas are synonymous, they mean actually day, but they are collocation patterns. And because of that, we get new insights into these so many synonymous words, that even if they are synonymous initially, they vary in the sense denotations because of their association patterns with different set of words while they are collocations. Next issue is keyword context. So keyword context is basically a kind of a further extension of concordance. In keyword context is another technique. Text is put in a decimal format, which is widely used as a corpus processing part. Even the keyword context database can be treated as another mode of concordance, which saves investigators from looking up to each occurrence of particular words in a corpus. So keyword context helps in other ways. It helps to find all the occurrences of keywords in the corpus. Also, keywords present the results in appropriate manner as defined in the corpus. So we know that keywords are very important in understanding the texts. So it is the keywords actually that helps us to understand what kind of text it is. Suppose if we put the two types of corpus together, suppose one from the sports domain and another from, say, from cultural domain, so definitely you'll find out that the clusters of keywords in sports domain text is different from the clusters of keywords used in culture text. So actually it is the keywords which helps us learn to understand how a text related to sports and games and sports is actually different from the text which relates to, say, some cultural element. So identifications of keywords, and based on the keywords, identification of the category of text, which we call the text identification schemes or text category identification schemes. These keywords play a very important role. So while we are analyzing the data or corpus, we naturally classify this corpus based on the keywords. So keyword identification is an important part to understand how they combine, what kind of clustering they have, what kind of frequencies they have, and because of the high frequency of occurrences of keywords in a particular text, we can identify to which subject category it belongs to. So in corpus analysis, keywords, the very important part, plays a very significant role in determining the text category. Then the next issue is local word grouping. Local grouping is another technique, another process which is normally used in sentences, are used to identify which words, multi-word strings, actually should be combined together as a local word group. Because in the text, normal text, it is naturally most frequently observed that it is not that the single word always carries the full meaning. The entire meaning of a word is maybe further percolated or spread across several words. So, if you look at this Hindi corpus, you can find out that part is always have two or three components clubbed together to get the meaning. Say, "Oh, aadmi kar rahe the," so you need to take kar rahe the, this clubbed together to get the complete sense of the verb. But similarly, if you look at the Bangla cases, here the only one word can express the meaning, which is derived from the combinations of three words in Hindi. So the basic argument of local word grouping is that identify those three or four words or multiple word string which actually stand as a single unit in sense. So this is a very important part to in the part of the corpus analysis. Suppose in English, particularly in cases of translation, the very important part plays. And English, if you take the he has been doing, so has been doing is actually multi-word string. They need to be combined together. So there should be local word group, they should be marked together because they all combine together to generate only one sense, and that sense is being carried out or translated as a single word into the target language like Bangla. So this is very much necessary for us. So keyword grouping is a kind of process where multi-word strings, particularly a group of members which constitute a verb, are clubbed together, identified together, marked together, and tagged as a multi-word strings, local word group, which should always be taken together to understand its meaning, to understand sense, or to translate. So it's a very complex task or a challenging task in cases of corpus processing to identify those multi-word units. They should also constitute a single unit, composite unit in sense or in function. The next issue is called lemmatization. Lemmatization is a very, very challenging task in corpus processing. What it stands for is that to identify the inflected forms of the corpus and then remove their inflection part to get the entire process can be done mostly in automatically or in supervised so that we get the lemma. So lemma is required for two reasons. First thing, to know what kind of inflections are tagged to the word and what kind of morphological changes have undergone while those inflection parts are actually clubbed together with the base for the lemma. Okay, let us give one simple example. Say, if you take for English example, beautiful. So here you can have from the word beauty, you can have several words: beautiful, beautify, beautification, beautificationally. So you get several words from the base from beauty. So what happens here that all those forms, inflected forms, are actually derived from the base form by way of adding inflections or the affixes to it. So lemmatization process does the reverse way. It takes and develops an algorithm or mechanism by which the suffix part can be stripped off and the base form can be corrected. This helps us to understand which words are mostly productive in a language. That means which words can take largest number of inflections with it, and how, when the inflections part will be combined together, how, if there is any morphological change in the structure of the word at the time of concatenation between the two parts, and if there is change in meaning or functions of the word. So lemmatization in an inflectional language, like in inflectional language, is a very important part where we want to identify inflection parts as well as the base parts. So lemmatization normally can be applied on inflected nouns, conjugated verb forms, inflected adjective forms, inflected pronominal forms, and other similar forms that are in the language. Suppose we are going to have the lemmatization process applied on the basis of nouns used in the corpus. So first thing is that we need to have a tagged corpus, whereby we can identify all nouns. Then we can identify, separate those nouns together arrange them in alphabetical order, sort them out. Then we do a kind of tokenization process where we can have a total list of nouns, inflected nouns together in a separate list. Then we can run the lemmatization process on the list so that the inflection part of the inflected nouns are removed and stored in a separate database. What it remains here is the base one. So which is called the label. So this can automatically be done automatically or in a supervised for Bangla or for many of the Indian languages. We are yet to develop the lemmatization process automatically. But some manual lemmatization process carried out on Corpus and good results are achieved. But for English and other languages, lemmatization process is already been done and developed, and that gives to develop the basic vocabularies or the base forms list that can be used for dictionary and other languages. So to conclude here, we can see that there are several techniques, several processes, methods that can be carried out on corpus to process corpus from multiple angles to retrieve information of various types. In this video, we have discussed only a few of them, say concordance, then keyword in context, then lemmatizations, then local word grouping. There are others also, but that will be discussed later on because these are mostly computational aspects are involved to it, except our corpus. So generally, what the two is that these are actually shifted to the part of computational linguistics because a major chunk of the work, major part of the work of these works are actually done automatically with a set of rules or statistical models or some machine learning parts. The basic information that I need to share here is that most of these corpus processing tools are already available in English and many advanced languages in these countries. Particularly languages like English, Portuguese, French, German, Spanish, Swedish, Dutch, Finnish, Japanese, Korean, even Chinese. They have completed most of this task. And they have been using those tools, processes on corpora and retrieving very important, valuable data to analyze the language, to develop tools, to develop systems, to develop resources, as well as to describe language, to write grammars, write study materials, and all those things. Even as a part of e-governance, these information are being used for dictionary learning and many processes. But for Indian languages, we still lack many of those tools and techniques for corpus. So this is perhaps high time that we perhaps need to divert our attention and concentrate more for developing the tools for corpus processing, so that the corpora which is super developed for Indian languages can be analyzed, processed based on these tools and techniques, and new set of data, new insights, new information can be detected from them. Thank you.